Let's get into a little bit of the O's news now. And I know a lot of people let us know where you're tuning in from. We would have had a chance to talk about this yesterday, but it was kind of developing. And the reason why we're only talking about this is that the Orioles had to make decisions with roster cuts. I don't think there's a surprise of what happened. And what we're talking about specifically, Coby Mayo and Sam Basayo were sent down or optioned down to minor league camp. So they're not going to start the year with the big league team, which wasn't really expected, Zach. You know, Sam, no shot. Coby, outside chance, but you're looking at an injury because here's the business side first. You got to choose who you're going to give at bats to. And right now, with the position that Coby plays, third, first, maybe some DH, wasn't really a spot available with Mountcastle, O'Hearn, and Jordan Westburg. Now, I think what stirred people was a quote that was out there from Coby Mayo, Zach.
Yes.
And so I'll read this out loud, and we'll talk about this more in depth. Here it is. Coby on being sent down. It definitely is difficult. It obviously sucks because you feel like you've proven everything you needed to, and sometimes doesn't feel like it's quite enough. Obviously, you go back there, and if you have success, it's, he's supposed to have success because he's already proven it. And if he doesn't have success, it's, obviously he's fallen off. It's kind of a lose-lose going to Norfolk. Now, there was certain backlash from this, Zach, where people were thinking of, that's the wrong mentality, right? Let's give the story of this.
Yeah.
There was people that were upset at Coby's quote-unquote attitude. That's where I think it started. And the reality for me is, Zach, I look at a guy that's more frustrated. But do you have an opening thought, and I can chime in with my overall opinion?
I would like people who are upset about the comment to show me where he was wrong. That's it's a simple question like that. Where was he wrong? Because I'll tell you something. The second he goes out there and has a 2-home run game, all of Orioles Twitter is going to be talking about how Mike Elias is stupid, how he's already proven everything in AAA. You know, it's just dumb that he's just wasting his career. I even saw someone say he's wasting his prime, which I was like, I hope this isn't his prime. I hope for Coby's sake he can develop. And I'm sure Coby will tell you he's hoping this isn't his prime. He hopes to develop even more. But then if Coby goes down there and he starts off 3 for 25, 2 for 16, whatever it may be, all of Twitter, all of media will be like, ooh, it won't be about is Coby Mayo ready anymore? The conversation is probably going to be, did the Orioles miss their chance to trade him at his best value? Yeah. He's clearly not this top guy anymore because he's struggling 18 at-bats into the AAA season. Clearly he's got to go. The Orioles missed their train. Coby's a bust. He was right. It is a lose-lose for him. Does that mean it was the wrong decision by the Orioles? No, because as I said yesterday, the 26-man roster is a facade of, it's the 26 best players. No, you have to build a team. And that means, guys, do I think in the long run Coby is more talented than a Ramon Urias? Yeah. Do I think Coby can do what Ramon does and sit on a bench for 4 straight days and then come off it, having not swung in an action game in 5 days, and have to hit in the biggest part of the game with the bases loaded and come through? No, I think that's what Ramon has proven his value is. So it's not all about what the talent is. So for Coby, it sucks. It sucks for both sides because I'm sure the Orioles would love to have a spot for him. I'm sure they would love for there to be a 10th position added in the field where they could put him in to get that bat in and let him play for 160 games, but that's not what it is.
No.
The Orioles have to try to win. Coby, unfortunately, was just the odd man out. And that's, when you're that stacked at so many positions, you talk about O'Hearn, about Mountie, where are those guys going to go? So he was right. It is a lose-lose, and I think it's a lose-lose for everyone involved because Orioles made the right decision. They had to, but it doesn't mean it sucks any less for a guy like Coby.
So I'm going to really dive into this now. And you're right with this. And before I continue on in my whole explanation, I just want to say with that, if players say that out loud or they give you the politically correct answer, they're thinking, what do I need to do? Mm-hmm. And it's not that he's not going to go work his ass off. So I will get into my explanation here in a second. But Brandon Hyde then was asked about this So I want to play the Brandon Hyde clip about Coby getting sent down, or just players in general starting in AAA. Let's play that clip, and then I'm really going to get into this conversation.
Yeah, that's what happens when you have good teams. I mean, good teams option players that they like, and you know how Coby ended his camp well. I thought he performed out well this last week, and so we're happy about his performance, especially this last week of spring training and the improvements he's made defensively at both spots. We still feel like there's things he can work on, but you know, we're sensitive to the fact that going to AAA isn't what anybody wants to do, but it's part of the game.
Part of the game.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right, let me really digest this, okay? And I've said this before, Zach, but for everyone that hasn't heard me talk about this, and Connor Norby, actually, former Oriole, now with the Marlins, alluded to this about guys are going into spring training working on something, and this is the only time that you can work on something. Because in the regular season, that is where you are truly judged. When you're at a position of being a high prospect, or you're on the doorstep of the big leagues, and you know that you're going to a team, spring training is exactly the place where you can try to, quote unquote, work on something. So I could give two shits, Zach, about what Coby Mayo was doing in the spring. But was his spring going to dictate if he was going to have a chance to make a team? Yeah, his spring was going to have to matter more than a guy like Gunnar Henderson, Adley Rutschman, Cedric Mullins, anyone that already is established. They could go hitless, and it's not going to change the perception or the outlook for them on the roster. Why? Because of their big league record, of what they've done in the regular season. And Coby Mayo, nothing changes my opinion about Coby in the spring. If he hit 480, it's not going to change my opinion if he hit one for 45, because the regular season matters. And where he's frustrated to get this whole thing around, Coby in the last 2 years, between AAA and AA, or AA and AAA in 2023, he had 29 jacks on the year and overall combined to hit 290. Then last year in Norfolk, hit 293 when he had a rehab stint, and had another 25 jacks on the year. 3 were down in rehab, but 22 in AAA. So he's going, my bat, it's ready. So that's where he's frustrated with. But to the business side of it, and I went back to this earlier when I started off this conversation, the Orioles need to make a decision on who they're going to give their at-bats to. And they got to look at their outlook of the team, because this isn't a rebuilding team anymore. This is a team that everyone out there is expecting to win right now.
Says in 2022.
Exactly. And Cedric Mullins, when he was on, he said, even though I think that's very challenging to play on a losing team, the pressure is not there to be up there and immediately have success, especially when you're a top-rated prospect like Coby, like Jackson, which will be Sam Basayo, Colton Cowser, Jordan Westberg. The list goes on and on. And by the way, Colton Cowser, Jordan Westberg, those guys were pushed aside when they came up to the big leagues. So remember that. Ryan O'Hearn is an established big leaguer. Ryan O'Hearn is one of the grittiest hitters on the team. You need him. The Ryan Mountcastle slander, I don't. If you don't think Mountie has the ability to hit 25, 30 jacks,
call someone in Toronto.
Seriously, they'll gladly accept him. They'll clear him of all worries at the border. He has free access that they let him go up there to Toronto. But in all seriousness, Ryan Mountcastle is an all-star type bat. And I think Mountie's going to have an unbelievable year. I truly do.
I don't think people also understand the health aspect with Mountie, because when he's healthy, first, when you can tell he's dealing with something, whether it's the vertigo, whether it's the back, whatever it may be over the past few seasons, I don't think people quite understand. And I've talked about this pretty much going into the past 2 seasons. We've seen Ryan Mountcastle, I'm not even going to say win a game for them. We've seen him carry them to games where that athletics game where he had 11 RBIs, that doesn't just happen. You have to be a damn good player to be able to hit 3 home runs in a game over Walt. Like, he's got that talent where when Ryan Mountcastle is healthy, one, the bat now with the wall, in a little bit more, we're going to see the power, I think, go up. The power alleys there. Just mentally, I think it's going to be better for him. But something that I just do not see enough of is Gunnar Henderson last season it's no secret, had some struggles with errors. There was, some throwing errors, stuff like that. Jackson Holiday early on, there was some issues. There probably could have been 10 more each if it wasn't for Ryan Mountcastle saving everyone's ass at first base. The defensive prowess that he has developed into, I mean, if you watched him last year, he was a Gold Glove-esque first baseman. He picked everything. He's making insane plays. It just all around. When Ryan Mountcastle is healthy, I think because it's that like new shiny toy syndrome, like Mountcastle at one point was the prized possession of the Orioles minor league system.
Yeah.
It was Ryan Mountcastle and the rest. Now they got the Gunners, the Adleys, everyone coming up, and it's like, oh, yeah, Ryan Mountcastle. Ryan Mountcastle has proven that he can be a force in this lineup. I saw a projection of him batting 8th in the Orioles lineup. Just a quick thing. Do you understand how insane and deep a lineup is if Ryan Mountcastle is batting 8th? It's just, people need to understand how big of an impact he truly is, because I see people trade him away, just give Mayo the keys. You're going to see a big difference.
You know what he did when he's played more than 140 games?
What's that?
The minimum is he's hit 22 home runs.
Mm-hmm.
Last year or in 2023, he had the vertigo situation. He still finished with 18 in 115 games. Last year, he played 124, and he was a little bit injured and banged up. He had 13. But for 2 years, 33 and 22. And they moved the wall back, and he had the issues with vertigo and being injured. Mountie was the best pure hitter I saw when I came through the organization when I was there. Before, obviously, Gunnar came in and Adley and the whole rest of the group. But at that time, Ryan Mountcastle was a highly touted bat throughout all of the minor leagues. And I think that time is coming this year. Now, I want to make this clear. When people were saying about earn it, Joe Isaiah, Brooks, I'm not like Coby. This isn't me talking about that. There wasn't enough that Coby, even if they had the opening, I'm not going to say that he quote unquote earned the job. But the point is, spring training to me can earn you an immediate job, but what you do in the regular season is whether you're going to stay or not. Let's do a recent example. Jackson Holiday hit pretty damn well last year in the spring, and people were saying he needed to break camp. He didn't. Went to the minors and soon came up, and we knew what happened. Now, how it all happened, that's up for debate, but a guy that had a really good spring and a rough go. Zach Lowther, friend of the program. Zach, hopefully you're sleeping over there in Taiwan. I forget, former Oriole.
Yeah, I guess this would be, I'm going to go on a limb and say that.
Yeah. So you want to guess what Shohei Ohtani's first 2 spring trainings were, average-wise?
Let's hear it.
Well, in 32 at-bats, he was 4 for 32. No doubles, no triples, no home runs, 1 RBI, 10 punchies, hit 125. 2020, 3 for 24 with a 125 average, and once again, 0 extra base hits. So I think Ohtani turned out fine and everything's okay.
Yeah,
spring trainings, I just want to get this out of the way. A spring training does not mean you're going to have success during the regular season. Because if that was the case, then damn, sometimes I might have been one of the best players, and I certainly wasn't. I have teammates. I had one teammate, Zach, that had 13 home runs in spring training.
That was what's his name? Was that the catcher? Was it Fox?
No, well, Fox did that too. That's a good point. I was saying one of my minor league teammates hit 13 in the minors. He's got a lot of pop. He never got past A ball with the Orioles. So my point is, it's not going to guarantee that you're going to have success. But I want to get it out of the head. Coby has the right to be frustrated as a competitor. That's what I just want to say with this. Now, in the time being, he's going to have to wait his opportunity, and that's the frustrating part. But I guarantee an opportunity will come about. Just depends on what it's going to be. And that opportunity also, Zach, this is not trying to be like, being mysterious. Opportunity could be in Baltimore. Opportunity could be elsewhere. That's just the nature of the business, man. But don't fault a guy for being human and saying something that any player in his situation would be feeling the same exact way. So that's all I got to say about that. Shout out Connor Norby for explaining that as well. Talk about an O that I think is going to former O that's going to ball out this